Speaking of cringe, this campaign has suicide bombers now. That's awesome.
Yeah, good job.
Who has a 100-word
Entirely
summary
your fault, Quick Road.
of all the trouble you guys got into last week?
There was fire and brimstone and religious debate.
We saved some suicide bombers.
You have two. No, you sent.
Yeah,
you
and then we
exiled
immediately
two.
exiled them.
You exiled
exiled
two,
them with a Gios.
We
executed
exiled
one,
three.
and then another one was brought to you in a bag.
We exiled 3, executed 1. We got 1 in a bag, and we got 3 in a
You're kind of
I don't
collecting
know,
them.
mill.
What did we
Mill?
do with the ones that are in Elhurst?
They're still in Nailhurst.
We haven't done anything with them.
We hadn't had a chance to do anything with them yet. Basically, Genie went in there, cast Lesser Restoration on them, and then we sent back word, hey, the magic's killing them. Cast Lesser Restoration on them,
Right, that's right.
which I think you did to the one in the bag.
Yeah, I have a staff that casts it all day. So.
I don't. I just have 2 different spell lists that I prepared depending on whether we're going into a dungeon or not.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to resolve today is I don't have my copy of Xanathar's ahead of me, but I would like to resolve about 2 weeks of downtime.
Oh.
That's about how long it's going to take before the next major plot beat comes through. So if you guys want to think about how to spend that 2 weeks of downtime, some of you had gone out to Alehurst. Did you leave the cultists there, or did you bring them back to Silverbow?
I imagine we would have brought them back if we came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to remind, were we waiting for everyone to meet us in Alehurst, or we decided to go back to the main city?
Well, Victor in particular was waiting for word to come back from some Vistani contacts.
Yeah.
That he had put the word out to. And Edmont was trying to figure out how to break the news to the rest of his family that their werewolf friends want mating slaves.
They're maidenless and want maidens.
That's a nice poetic way to put it.
I don't think they have to be maidens.
So why don't you guys think
Went
about
over his head.
some downtime actions that you'd like to take? I'm going to step away for just 2 minutes and fetch a drink. When I come back, we will roll some dice.
I guess I could finish the plate mill. It's already paid for and it's half done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
With the stuff we keep fighting, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We had this I've had this half finished suit of plate mail sitting here.
We have this, and then we have a demon come out of the ground. It's like, okay, we should probably finish that now.
It's been sitting. The funny thing is due to downtime, it's been sitting there half finished for 2 years. Or she just pops his head into the workshop. You gotta finish.
You working on it?
I'll get to it later. Don't worry.
We have
Procrastination.
40 weeks to handle all that.
I got roads to build.
Yeah, let me grab my Xanathars and
You gotta develop steel
Window shop.
and buildings.
Where do my
Actually, I
Xanathars
don't
go?
know. Let me actually see how much time is how much, because it was exactly 50% done, and I paid for it all up front because I was expecting to get it done really quickly, and then
And then that didn't happen. Simon steals Xanathars from me. Yes, he did. Simon did steal Xanathars from me.
I have no idea what to do with 2 weeks.
You have no idea what to
Pit
do with 2
fighting.
weeks?
Start training a skill or pit fighting so you can afford to train a skill.
Now let's look at the family's coffers and see what is available to me.
I sort of know what I'm going to do, but I just gotta see how much.
Now, this 2 weeks is not completely empty time because the tensions in the village never quite go back down to the baseline level as construction is continuing on the chapel. The memories of what has transpired here are remaining kindled. People are still a little on edge. Ekon, you would notice when holding mass that the house becomes more packed than usual. And you are inundated with questions about what the villagers need to do to stave off fiery retribution from God, and requests to pray with them over their children, or in particular small insignificant trespasses are brought. Like, our son filched a hot roll from the bakery, and we're worried that God is going to send fire.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of that right now amongst the populace. Does Jeannie want to go first with some downtime?
No.
Orson looks at you like, what?
Okay, fine.
Does anybody
I'll-
want to take a downtime action? Like,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to everybody know that this still requires 15 weeks of work.
All right.
Okay.
Put 2 weeks into it now.
Well, I'm going to also get my guy to help me, so I'll get to apply 4 weeks.
okay.
But yeah, no. So basically, I'm working on the plate mail that has been set for 2 years, half finished, for Orson.
Oh no, Orson's grown in those 2 years, so it doesn't fit him anymore. You got to start over.
I mean, you could resize it. But
The idea of putting Orson in plate mail, like, terrifies me. So how many more weeks and expense remain on that plate mail?
it's paid for. I paid for it way back when,
Okay.
but I still got like 11 weeks.
All right. Who else wants to take some downtime actions?
Victor's gonna pit fight.
Victor cannot bring himself to pit fight. If you spend the 2 weeks doing pit fighting, you will not gain any of the benefits from doing so, as the emotional scars of what you did to Darkwood continue to haunt him
How long is that gonna last for?
until Victor dies, most likely. He's
For
not.
the record, Evie
so-
thinks the thing that happened to Darkwood is hilarious.
Everybody does. So, okay, so I can't pit fight.
I mean, you can still organize the pit fights and supervise them, but
If I
Victor's
can't make money from it, there's no point.
You could probably make money doing other things. You don't have to pit fight to make money.
Victor's
for
like,
nobles.
the only skill on my CV is stabbing bitches. It says right here.
I don't know if can we make money from working in our own town.
Yeah, work is one of the options you can take.
Yeah, I guess Victor is gonna work for 2 weeks.
Okay.
You could just, I don't know, relax.
What's the point of that?
You become relaxed.
Do
In
it for a
Ravenloft?
while.
I think relaxing should be banned from Ravenloft.
Relaxation rarely comes with complications, it says in the book.
You can't accidentally stab anybody again.
What sort of work will you be doing, Victor?
Whatever pays the most. Victor's looking to make money so he can train himself later and afford Genie's plate mail.
Your skill check is going to determine your wages.
So
So you need to pick a job that correlates with a skill check you feel like you can roll reasonably high in.
Victor will contribute to something productive being done in the town. I'm not sure if we're still in the process of building things or not.
Oh, always. There's always work to be done.
Yeah, Victor will be doing manual labor to help, reinforce the walls or fix the church that got burned down or something like that.
Construction on the church in particular. Because remember, I mean, there's glass blowing that needs to be done, fitting back into the windows, a lot of carpentry and that type of thing. So what skill would you like to use? Do you have a tool proficiency or something that would apply here?
He's got thieves tools, so he could work on some doors, probably.
You need carpenter's tools to work on doors.
What can I do with thieves tools?
Not legal work.
Well, you know what?
Why don't
Actually,
you, like, if all
There
those
are
windows.
profitable businesses that Victor could, in theory, if he's just looking to make a profit, break in and rob in his own village. I wouldn't want the rest of your family to find out about it. That sounds like it would be an argument that would eat up the whole session, but technically it's an option if you're looking to use these tools.
That's a different. That's crime.
Yeah, that's
That is
different
crime. Yeah.
action.
Yeah, see, Victor's not going to commit crime in his own town. That he feels that's counterproductive.
Uh,
I have most. He's proficient in most skills. I'm just not sure what would apply to.
You have
I've never
something
seen church.
like you could set the glass in the church, like because it's
give me either a strength athletics check or a dexterity acrobatics check.
We'll do the dexterity acrobatics check.
Yeah, because if you don't have any tool proficiencies or anything like that, then really your best bet is, if you want to work in this construction, is just to do the heavy lifting, just to do the grunt work.
Yeah, unless there's some merchants that need some maps made.
Do you have like a calligraphy set or something?
Yeah, he's got map making and navigation.
Yeah, if you want to do that instead, that's going to be an intelligence navigation check.
No, we'll do the dex check. And we'll be using a sonic dice.
So what do we get?
Oh, Jesus. Nothing good on 11.
well. Don't you have reliable talent?
Oh, you know what? I do. Thank you. That'd be an 18 in that case.
Okay. That's enough to make a comfortable lifestyle for a week. Which translates to what in gold? Like 10 gold or something?
Unfortunately for you, this is a family-owned church. Therefore, you don't get paid. You get paid in like living in the damn house.
Well, no, I'm assuming that Victor's going down and like taking the place of like on somebody, like a contractor down there who is getting paid by House Veritas to do the work and would then be obligated
The money
to
that's
pay
freed
wages.
up. Yeah.
So no, if he's doing the work downtime action, I'm going to give him the wages for it. But yeah, it's going to translate to about 10 gold for a week of work. So make that same roll again for the second week.
Are you sure I can't pit fight?
I'm sure you can. I mean, you can. You just won't get any benefit from it.
That's a 33.
Okay. What is a comfortable lifestyle? Let me get the. It's in the PHB, isn't it?
Yes.
See, Victor, this is why it pays to be nobility. So, like, now you're getting a sense of
It's 2 gold pieces.
it's comfortable, and then what?
Yeah, plus 25.
So 29 gold for 2 weeks of labor.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
I mean,
That's
it's
less than one fight.
a lot more than all your other peasants are making.
After this 2 weeks, Victor is going to have a long discussion with Evie about paying our workers.
But
You do realize the average person lives off like a silver a week.
Yeah. It's...
Yeah, if you made 29 gold in 2 weeks, we're already paying our people really well.
But Victor is also considerably skilled at the work he's doing. If he's putting his acrobatics to work, I mean, he's doing stuff like dangerous, like running chains across belfries and fixing glass fixtures into the tops of towers, where he has to just free climb up a wall in order to. So he's doing skilled labor that the rank and file laborers of the village probably could not do. And buying himself no small amount of goodwill amongst the population.
You know, roll complications.
The real profit is the friends we make along the way.
True.
Yeah, give me a percentile roll.
Blue is going to be tens. That's a 16.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. Your employer's financial difficulties result in you not being paid.
Are you serious?
Serious. That's the complication. So this doesn't mean that Evie isn't paying you. This means that whatever concern is in charge of doing the physical labor on this cathedral in the village to get it repaired, they're being paid by House Veritas, but they're not in turn paying their employees for some reason. You get a lot of apologies and a lot of promises that the gold will be forthcoming.
Yeah, so Victor's going to go investigate that when he has a chance.
All right. Well, that's not going to happen during downtime, but
That's fine.
sounds like I have a trip to Fantasy Name Generator in my future. Who's next for some downtime?
I can go.
What in the world is Edmont doing?
Edmont is going to go carouse with the Keltostravi.
Okay.
Because the idea is I want to try and make some inroads with these people to maybe figure out if there's any other sort of solution that can be made besides them, raiding towns for maidens.
You could tell them to bathe, wear nice clothes, get
I
good
mean,
jobs.
They did come up with an alternate solution to raiding towns for maidens. They went to their liege lord and asked permission. Yeah, go. What check is that for carousing? It's going to cost you 10 gold.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to call the the naturist werewolves lower class, I guess. So what skill check are we using here for this?
Well, according to this, it looks like it says it's persuasion.
Okay.
Charisma persuasion.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion skill check.
Although since they are ostensibly scouts for our borders, could I shift that more into helping and working with them on their efforts toward that end instead?
I wouldn't call that carousing in that case.
Okay.
We'd find a different action that better. Because I'm assuming carousing, like you want to see how these people are living when they're not working.
Fair enough. That's fine. Okay. Persuasion at -2. Nice. That's a 16.
Okay. Bear with me one moment. So you've made 2 contacts amongst the Keltostravi. The what was the term Treble used earlier? The parasocial bond here is a little complicated because these people are your family's vassals, and they have to follow your orders. So attempting to fraternize with them and make friends amongst them can be a complicated proposition. Nonetheless, you've navigated some of those waters. You've lived amongst them, transformed with them, I'm assuming, and learning more about their lifestyle. You have 2 allied contacts amongst the Keltostravi. The degree to which you would trust them personally is up to you. Give me a percentile check.
Oh,
Slightly.
speaking of, do I need to? Is there a complications chart for crafting?
I don't think so.
I think there is actually.
Just I don't want to get cheated out of complications.
That's an 80.
For magic items, it looks like there are. You got an 80?
Yeah.
Okay. So no complications, but here's the dilemma that you now face. There are no females in the Keltostravi. Their culture is such that actually, if you've made 2 allied contacts, Give me I'm going to call this an intelligence investigation check. Unless you're going to outright ask them, which would then have to be charisma. Assuming you don't want to outright ask them what they do with girl children that are born to their tribe, and you're going to try to intuit it elsewise.
That's a 13 investigation.
Okay. The question as to why there are no women amongst their tribe. There was a druidess that you had encountered.
Correct.
And you come to learn that she was one of these abductees. As a child, she was taken from a village that they ransacked. She mated with Keltastravi. She lived amongst them for years. And then she bent her magical talents. But naturally, children that are born to this particular bloodline of werewolves, the boys inherit the traits that make them werewolves, while the girls do not.
Okay.
If some solution is not found to allow this last remaining tribe in your borders to continue their bloodline, it will die out within one generation. That's how genetics works.
Yep.
All right, in my notes, I'm just writing that Edmont is pals with werewolves.
Sure.
The last thing that happens during your time carousing with them is it is just impressed upon you how important it is that you find a resolution to this. They're now counting on you to be their voice when you sit down at Evie's table next time.
Okay.
All right. What is Ekon doing with his downtime?
So, Ekon currently has 4 charisma.
Okay.
So the downtime will cover the rest of the month, but Ekon is going to spend 3 days not following his obsession, so he'll have his high-level spell slots for those, so his charisma is going to go down to 1 at the end of this.
Okay.
So on the days that he is not following his obsession, Ekon is using all of his resources, magical and mundane, that he has to investigate, because he has some more powerful spells at this point, Bedros, to try and see what he can do about the that Angel of Air who's trapped on this plane.
Okay.
Other than that, he's using stone shapes and mendings to repair the damage to the church when he, has time. But that's his main goal right now.
Okay. We wouldn't use the research rules for this because that calls for a gold expenditure, unless there's a gold expenditure involved in the spells that you're casting.
I don't think any of my scrying spells actually need gold. Not the ones that would be useful now.
There's legend lore, but that one costs gold.
Oh, we already cast a legend lore on him, didn't we?
Not on him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I
think
will.
the only-
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good call. If we do have the money, I'll cast a legend lore.
Well, how much is it? I don't know how much
Like
that spell
$250?
costs. We probably have that much.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good use of it.
Oh no, it's only
Yeah.
50. It's the non-consumable part that's expensive, and I already
Okay.
paid for that. So yeah, it's only 50. Let me mark that off that party sheet.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Oh no, it's a 250 is what's consumed, but that's incense, which I have a greenhouse for. So
You guys have
let
no
me.
shortage
I'll do
of
the math.
incense.
Don't worry. But yes, we have the incense for it.
Quote unquote incense.
We are out of incense, and I'm gonna have to take 230 from the party loot.
They are listen, the incense greenhouse throws the best parties.
Incense helps parties, best parties, because incense parties don't stop.
Okay, there we go. I paid for it.
Okay.
We have like a drug intervention. Ekon's incense habit. It's getting out of hand.
That just must be what he smells like all the time.
Cloves.
And just bear with me 1 second.
He smells like a hot topic.
The lore that you learn about Beldross is historical in nature. Tells you a little bit about the creature himself. And it connects a dot, perhaps, in why his presence inside of Darkhan makes more sense. The lore that you learn is that Beldross was a soldier in a war against demons. The opposing army had allied with a powerful creature that they, meaning Beldross and his forces, did not have a lot of knowledge of, but which Ekon would recognize as what has been called here the Ancient Dead. A similar, if not the same type of creature that you know Azul Rex to be. What you start to become convinced of, because you had assumed that Beldross had been summoned here through magic. Because you had learned that if you attempted to summon a creature here, it would become entrapped in the mists. The more that you learn about him fighting this righteous crusade in this war, it starts to become more clear that somehow Beldross became aware of Azalin's presence in this place and came here willingly to hunt him down.
Interesting.
Whether he came here under his own power or whether... Because as an angel, he could have very easily manipulated a spellcaster that was already here to cast a summoning spell, which he then responded to. That's one way he could have done it. But yeah, you become convinced that Beldross is here under his own volition, one way or another, and became entrapped after arriving, not before. Huh. As to his location, though, you still gain very little information. He has a reputation for being excellent at slaughtering demons, particularly undead hordes.
We need to free him and go save Latin.
So, in very general terms, I am totally in favor of allying with this creature, but we need to understand that, servants of air, like, that has a very broad connotations because, Kristen considers himself a servant of air, and he just wants to burn everything. And,
Well, he doesn't want to burn everything. He just wants to burn you guys.
He's summoning demons, so, I don't think he's talking to air.
Okay, so here's the problem is among our family members, we have a werewolf, a witch, a human soul bound to an artificial body, and Evie is a signed, sealed, delivered servant of Aslan Rex. So it is entirely possible that if we encounter this creature, he would decide that, we are, like, number one priority, burn these people down. They are completely opposed to everything air stands for.
Well, currently he's in prison in an oubliette.
We could burn that bridge when we get there.
So Ekon is spending his actual downtime action constructing the church with his magic. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Towards the end of the downtime, Ekon is no longer compelled to use up all his slots on scrying the way that he was.
Mm-hmm.
But going forward, anytime you attempt to cast the scrying spell, you may only do so if you pass a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
If you fail the wisdom saving throw, you still cast the spell, just you scry that particular target, again, the object of your obsession, instead of your intended target.
Oh, hey, you get your charisma back. Good.
All 6 of it.
All 6 points.
Or he doesn't get his charisma back unless he's going to use a restoration or something on it.
Oh.
That doesn't
Thought he
happen
got his-
automatically.
Then yeah, I'm gonna have to cast a restoration at the end of that. Just only mark the money off for that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to walk around with 1 charisma?
No, failing horror checks, that many horror checks, has permanent, at least permanent scars. They're going to permanently alter how characters think and act and behave. Like, I'm sure it tears Victor. He's like, I have no problem stabbing people 99% of the time, but the thought of doing it in a pit fighting ring is abhorrent, and I cannot stomach it.
Are you entertained? No, he's not.
What if he just uses sticks and doesn't use daggers anymore?
That's the thing, is you were using a blunted weapon when you fought against Darkwood, if you recall.
All right, so I also marked off 100.
Did we ever try out Greater Restoration on Donique's sister, whose name escapes me because she's been sitting in the corner catatonic for
Her name
2.5 years?
Trieste.
Oh, Trieste's sister.
Donique is the yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you had tried it at some point if you had the capability, and it did not do anything.
Okay, good. Well, that's great. It's good information to have.
All right, what about Evie?
With 2 weeks and 200 gold, I could craft a cloak of protection for someone if they want it.
I mean, Victor always needs more armor class. And saving throws.
I mean, I'm tempted to give it to Orson just to really drive Brick Road crazy. Give Orson more AC.
Keep pushing me. Like, I don't feel bad at all about just killing an NPC with DM fiat. I don't even roll against him. I can just say he dies.
I don't know, Evie. I mean, you're the one who keeps getting eaten. Maybe you need it.
I already have one.
Oh. I mean, Victor will take one.
Gosh.
I'm also tempted to give one to Tenny, just because Tenny's always so surly. But I tell you, you give a kid a magic cloak,
No.
and if she's not excited and happy about that, I mean, I'll make one for Victor.
Okay. Crafting a magic item. That could come with a complication. How long does that
What do
take?
you want? 2 weeks.
All right. Bear with me a second here.
Takes less time to make a magic item than it does armor.
No, this is not this is a fairly low tier magic item, even though it's actually pretty good.
He made one for Edmont, so
Well,
yeah.
the cost of plate armor is like the materials and stuff. Like, you're not making a magic cloak out of armor grade steel.
No, Evie does have weaver's tools though, so presumably she's making a wool from our goats.
Evie,
Yes,
roll some percentile.
sure. Which ones are those again?
There's these right here. Here's these two.
I did not see where that ping came from.
This
Oh,
blue and green one.
okay. The
Those
blue
are-
will be the blue will be in 10's place.
I hope so.
38.
All right. No complication. You craft a cloak of protection. So that is like +1 AC and...
Plus
Saving
1 to all
throws.
saves.
Okay.
does require attunement.
Okay.
Yeah. Aside from that, she'll generally be, rallying her knights, giving orders to make themselves publicly known throughout the duchy as they hunt down these heretics who are attacking the people of New Warren.
Okay. And over the course of the 2 weeks, there are 2 known encounters with your knights, with these particular red robe cultists. The first encounter, the knights come back and report that there was a skirmish on the road. They saw the people fitting the description you gave them. They pulled up alongside them to ask some questions, determined that they were in fact the cultists, and when they tried to flee, they cut them down, and they are buried now in the woods. The second encounter, towards the end of this 2-week span, one of your knights does not return, and one of the ones that does has severe burns. This encounter is described to you as very similar to the first. They saw these people on the road, out in the woods, fitting these description. This time, though, when they pulled them over to kind of interrogate them, find out what was going on, they wielded fire magic to defend themselves. All of the cultists in that encounter were slain, but in the battle, one of your knights was also slain.
Evie is grieved by this. She'll make sure that the knight who was injured receives adequate medical attention, and she... was the knight's remains recovered?
Oh, yeah, no, they brought them back.
Oh, yeah, she'll see to it that he receives the proper... We do cremation, so we don't do burials here, so...
Okay.
She will personally oversee the cremation and grieve with the man's family if he had a family.
Victor, what is it that you wanted your Vistani contacts to look into for you?
We know the name of the place they're coming from, or hiding glass. We want to know where that is.
Victor, I've got good news and bad news.
Victor left.
Oh, he's just gone. Okay.
Did he get
He's-
kapooped?
At the end of the 2 weeks. Well, let's resolve this first, actually. Edmont.
Sir.
As nobody else in the family knows about the request you were given, as far as I'm aware.
Once Edmont returns from his time with the Keltistravi, he will bring it up with the family.
It's just like at breakfast one morning.
Not at breakfast. This is a private family meeting. So
More of a brunch
yeah,
topic.
the six of us.
Okay.
And he'll explain the situation. He says the Keltistravi has served as loyally these past 2 years.
I
I
mean,
don't see why they shouldn't be rewarded for something.
I'm not rewarding them with women.
Why don't we just let women make that choice?
Yeah, if they want to attract women, and they're not able to find women who want to marry them, that's a them problem. That's not an us problem.
Well, you are kind of constraining them to the land so they can't go out and meet the ladies.
Ekon, give me a religion check, please.
Yeah. I mean, do I really have to make this?
Let's see how it goes.
Well, I think we all know where this is going.
That's a religion of 23.
Okay. When Evie says that, like if they can't figure out like how to mate with, that's like on them. She's not wrong. Like it is definitely wrong to deliver slaves or to raid villages and kidnap. But on the other hand, the idea of a bloodline going extinct is abhorrent to anybody who follows the Etherine faith. The
but
church-
also the idea of mating with monsters is abhorrent.
Yes.
So like which two of like this is like the immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Which one wins?
It's almost like I wrote this to be exactly that dilemma and see how you guys worked through it.
Okay, there is 0% chance that I would ever send them women slaves. That is just off the table.
Sure.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
just something they have
Yeah,
to figure
Ekon.
out.
Yeah, the rest of all else being equal, people are not a viable currency.
Why
Okay, so-
don't we just let them actually go into villages and act as normal people, and if they happen to meet women in that process and strike up a relationship,
because they're not human and they don't think like humans, and that they would think that is stupid.
What does Edmont think about that comment?
Edmont stares at Jeannie very hard when she says that.
I don't mean like they're not people. I mean they're not human. They're not. They're werewolves.
Edmont,
Like,
do you
they have
think
different
Edmont continues-
brains?
Edmund, do you think if we were to allow the Keltistravi to walk around town and participate and work with the rest of us, that they might be able to meet a woman and have a normal conversation and strike up a normal relationship?
I 100% agree with you, brother or cousin.
As far as I know, they have refused to have much to do with us so far. They don't want to do that.
I think enough time has passed, we could discuss it with it.
It's not that they're being disallowed, it's that they have a different cultural heritage than you guys do. They don't want to live inside of walls and buildings and
So
But at the risk of going extinct, they might change their tune.
what?
It might.
So like I have a couple of like logistical questions about all this. So, what is their current living situation? Where do they live? Where do they live?
They're mostly
They-
nomadic. The original situation was this was like the weakling tribe amongst the Celtistravi, which they're sick and they're old were sent to. When you drove away the rest of the tribes and they decided to try their hand at fealty rather than eradication, they've been making use of land and resources that had originally been closed off to them.
Right, but I mean, like, what do they live in? Do they live in tents? Do they just sleep out in the open air and like in the elements, snow and all that?
They make use of natural shelter in the terms of cliff sides, caves, thick forest canopies. The things that they make use of, their clothes, their tools, traditionally these were raided from victims. They would raid a village, take the food, the tools, the clothes, what they wanted. There is some skill amongst them to craft items and maintain things. They're not unintelligent.
Okay.
They're just uncivilized.
And listen, I want everybody to know that I'm asking these questions from a purely academic standpoint. So do not chime in and get angry at me.
Mm-hmm.
What is our capability to direct our peasantry for marriage and things like that? Is that considered normal? Would that be?
Okay, so legally, they have to do what you tell them, basically.
Right.
Evie could at any point go down to the village and say, this person's going to marry this person, and if they don't agree, they can leave my walls. She's got knights, they've got swords. The equation works out. From a religious standpoint, if the Celtostravi were, say, a house on the edge of extinction due to lack of marriage prospects, this is a situation where an Aethar might be appointed to negotiate the situation.
Yeah,
I mean, Ekon has no problem with an actual arranged marriage, but this isn't that.
Right. So, what I'm saying is, there's a lot of poor village girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So hold on. There's a lot of poor village girls, but the issue I see with arranging such a thing. So we're all kind of in agreement that the idea of what constitutes a monster, I think we've all kind of settled on that side of the fence that what constitutes a monster is more of a moral thing, less than a physical thing, right? That's kind of what Plaid was doing, and everything we've kind of experienced has kind of put us all on that side. Even Genie is not human anymore. So,
Even Genie or especially Genie?
You're not a monster, Genie. It's okay.
Yikes. I walk into that every freaking time. Anyway, but so the main situation that Genie sees it and I see is that they basically live in squalor, which is fine because they're werewolves. They go out, they live under the land, whatever. So if they want to attract mates and they want to be that's what we need to fix.
That's more or less Evie's position. That from a personal standpoint, Evie was really, really angry at the notion that Ruby was going to force her to get married against her will. So she would be extraordinarily unlikely to ever go up to anyone in her village and order them to marry someone.
Well, so what I'm proposing is that we work with the Celtostravi to set ground rules. These are not slaves. These are,
I'm not sending them women. If they want to attract women, they have to.
No. Listen,
Mhm.
you're jumping
Let
to
me
the
finish the sentence.
you're jumping to thinking that I'm saying let's send them women. I'm not. Like Brickroad said, the words were an Aethar would be appointed to facilitate and discuss it. That's where I'm going. So but before anybody would be willing to do that, Genie is on the thing of on the more we said, we have the two moral quandaries, the death of a house versus the do not copulate with monsters. Genie's on the side of the more important thing is the death of the house. So her proposal is we work with the Celtostravi to make them attractive to potential mates, in that we give them things like they can still be we help them build like permanent shelters, even if they still are nomadic and move from place to place. Like, you know, we have shelters in place that their wives, who are not going to be werewolves, can stay in.
So you're advocating like a kind of Dothraki situation where there's one permanent settlement that most of them only visit a couple times a year for the explicit purpose of mating?
That's actually a much better idea than what I was thinking. Yeah.
That felt like that's what you were describing. I want to
What
give
are you
Treble
talking-
some props here. Treble worked very, very hard to not word that in such a way that he would get yelled at, and I recognize how difficult that can be.
Well done, Treble.
But like the situation, and then we build the settlement, and they can come out, and the women can and children can stay in the settlement, and then, you know, the Kelterstravi can do their Kelterstraviing, and we can, I don't know, we could offer incentives,
So,
you know,
as
like-
this discussion is going on, Edmont, you'd
Yeah.
be most primed to make this check. Give me an insight check. Or a religion check. I would say would also be appropriate here.
and can he benefit from my +5 to skill checks?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
okay,
You guys are having this discussion over a table.
yep. So take a +5 to that.
Good thing, because that's a 13 on die. So with a flash of genius, that'd be 18.
Okay. The pitch you're going to have to make, Edmont, is
Yep.
a massive cultural change amongst the Keltostravi. In some sense, their way of life has to end if they're going to continue to coexist with you. Either they're going to go extinct, or they're going to have to change to be something new, in which case they will not be the Keltostravi of yore
Keltostravi.
anymore. You think that's going to be an uphill sell, but you and your house are in a very privileged position to make those gains. They know they can't fight you, and they know that they don't have a lot of viable resource to take out into the world in other regions. They've got it pretty good here.
And we're willing to help them. Right? That has to count for something too. Like this
See,
just
what Jeannie is saying is definitely not impossible, but it's going to
A hard
take some.
sell.
It's going to take some doing.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
Victor doesn't like Genie's idea all that much.
why?
It seems just too complicated. Victor is of the opinion that the better approach would be to slowly integrate them into, town life with the rest of the village.
Which is an
Over
even more
time.
drastic
Which is
change.
even-
They're gonna like that less.
Which that is an even more.
I'm not saying
Thorough
have them move
destruction
here
of-
now. I'm saying extend the invitation if they want to come work in town and participate in normal activities. They have that choice.
You could.
Yeah.
That's
2
2
years
years
ago.
apart from that.
We did that 2 years ago, and they dismissed that out of hand.
Well, their
Right.
situation is changing. They have to start making some. Evie's perspective is this isn't really our problem, but
Well, it is your problem. They're your.
It is our.
They're your vassals.
It is
Yeah,
our
I think
problem.
you're
They are our
responsible
vassals.
for them.
Victor thinks that building a town and having women just go there to be mated is
No,
just doesn't seem like a good idea.
that's not what we're proposing. So this is
if they want to attract women, they have to change their lifestyles.
Yes, they have to essentially integrate with the others of this realm.
So essentially, what we're saying is we build a holdfast, a place where they're not dragging these women across the thing. They're not going to be slaves. They're not going to be sex slaves. That is for sure off the table.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's not that similar to the Dothraki then, in the end.
I guess.
And what, these women are just going to live in that holdfast waiting for the Keltostravi to come and show interest once a year?
It's basically
Evie.
basically.
No, hang on.
Evie,
they're
give me a
married.
history check. You being the Duchess in charge.
Me?
Yes.
History check. That is a 19.
Okay. So these people being your vassals, and you have a firm understanding, having been here for several years now, that means something different than what it would have meant in the Republic. Functionally, the people who live inside your walls that don't have skilled labor or resources to offer, functionally they are already your slaves. If you order these women to do it, they will have to do it. The opportunity you have here, though, is to empower a group of people in a holdfast like Jeannie is suggesting. They'll be in charge. They'll be setting the rules. They'll have their own land to work.
Yeah, we're essentially proposing a new colony of people who are interested in living side by side with the Keltistravi.
Which itself is going to be a very hard sell. But
listen, peasants. I feel like
so you want a entirely female run town on the outskirts of civilization.
Well, I don't think that's what's being proposed.
Oh, why not?
So first of all, what's the matter with females being in charge?
Nothing.
Yeah,
That's exactly my point. Why not?
So, as your very female cousins probably stare at you as you put your foot in your mouth again.
The female who is running this duchy.
Who said that's not what you're proposing?
At least allegedly.
No, I think that's a good idea. Let's find all the women that don't wish to be here, don't have any desire in the men of this colony and the other colonies, and give them a choice to go elsewhere.
I'm not really comfortable with that idea of proposing that. What I want to do, we need to go to the Keltistravi and say, are you willing to adjust your lifestyles to make yourselves more palatable to human female companionship?